Turning now to your community focus, from the future of the Providence Place Mall and the Superman building to a tax increase on the horizon for city residents. There's always a lot to talk about with Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
So let's start with the Providence Place Mall. My colleague spoke with the attorneys after a judge named them permanent co-receivers of the mall earlier today. I want to play you a little bit of what Mark Russo had to say about the current tax treaty that the city has with the mall. Take a listen.
I don't think it's any secret that ultimately we're going to have to partner with the city and the state and redo that treaty in some way. But I think that's a little bit in the future, because I think, in all fairness to the city and state, we're going to have to demonstrate what is it going to be.
So the current treaty is set to expire in 2028. Are you open to extending it?
Open to it, for sure.
Okay.
And it's interesting what Mark said there is exactly what we've said. We actually had met with the owners who just lost possession, Brookfield, and they came in to talk about the tax treaty. And my question to them was, what's the plan? Malls around the country are having to reinvent themselves. The shape and nature of retail has changed, and we're open to it, but we need to know what the plan is. We're not going to just keep subsidizing something that obviously is having some issues. We want to subsidize, if we're going to subsidize, a plan for the future that's going to be good for the city and good for the economy. So
you're planning to meet with them soon?
Yeah, the attorneys actually just reached out this week, and we have a meeting scheduled soon. I expect that to be introductory and high level, but they've got some work to do, as they've said, to spruce up the place, make it more marketable, fix some of the parking issues, and then as they make a plan for the future of the mall for the next 25 years, we're all ears. It's an important asset to the city. Let's
talk about another big landmark in Providence whose future is still sort of uncertain, the Superman building. What's the status of the redevelopment project there?
So there persists a funding gap ever since the last subsidy package and happened. Interest rates went up, construction costs went up, the gap opened up. The developer has raised additional private capital, which is great. He should do that. And he's pursuing a couple government programs to see if we can fill that gap. It remains a priority for us. The important thing from the city's perspective, it's not just about that building. It's about its effect on every other building downtown. That building has the risk of being like an anchor and can drag the rest of downtown down with it. It's been vacant for a decade. We can't afford for it to be vacant another decade, and so I'm working closely with the developer. We'll be pursuing all available options to try to close that gap and get that project back on track.
Speaking of vacant property, the former East Side Market is now empty. I've asked you about it before. Is there any news you can share about what's going into that space?
No news, although maybe a little update on timeline.
Okay.
Because the market did close on Halloween. There is work happening there, and so that, because there's been a long-term tenant there, hasn't been work done there in a long time. The shopping market, the plaza owner has said that there's going to be some work. I don't think residents should expect a new market to open until later in 2025. There's about a year's worth of work to be done. I remain optimistic that there will be a new tenant who's not just a tenant but a new market.
Okay.
But I don't know who that market is yet. I don't believe that has been selected yet, but there's going to be some work. And as a result, when it's all done, it'll be new, freshly updated, and we'll all benefit from that.
Fabulous. Let's talk about taxes. You were on Newsmakers before Thanksgiving talking about the $15 million that you have to pay that the city has to pay to the public school system. You said you'd be seeking the General Assembly's permission to raise taxes next year beyond that 4% levy.
Yes.
How much higher are you thinking?
We don't know exactly yet. This happens to be a reval year for Providence, which, and as we all know, people's property values have gone up pretty dramatically in most cases, and so we're going to wait to see those reval numbers come in to know how much additional tax revenue will be generated naturally, and then we'll determine how far over that cap we need to go. The City Council will be asked by me for a resolution supporting my request, and then we will go to the General Assembly. They're not back till January anyway, to go over the cap, and so we'll know that in the first quarter of next year.
And speaking of schools, you're going to be appointing 5 people to the school board, and that application process is still open, right?
That's right, through next Friday. And so we have a brand new school board process in Providence. There's 5 elected, 5 appointed. They're by region now, so there's 5 regions. And so we're looking for interested candidates who want to apply. You apply for your geographic region. It's 1 per region. And that application is available online through next Friday. Any interested persons should please apply.
All right, and we will put that link on our website as well. Mayor, it's cold out there. We saw some snow flurries last night. night. The housing department told us that those pallet shelters in your city are set to open sometime in the winter months. Yeah. You explained again on Newsmakers that it's sort of caught up in the fire code. There's sprinklers and paint that need to be added. Are you still confident that they're going to be open during the coldest months of the year?
I don't know. I'm confident that the provider, who has had a very difficult task this year of trying to continue to see the finish line get moved on them, is doing everything they can. I'm confident that everyone is working as hard as they can, and that I don't believe the finish line is going to get moved again. Like, we know what the plan is now. So where city's doing everything it can. Our approvals came a long time ago. Yeah. We expect we'll be asked to do a final inspection, and we will be ready to do that in 24 hours notice. And so whenever that call comes in, we will jump at it, because these things need to open. I'm very frustrated. I'm discouraged, but it will open, and I'm optimistic that this will be an important piece of the housing puzzle for us here in Providence and in Rhode Island.
All right, Providence Mayor Brett Smiley, we're out of time. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.